Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really consequential joint letter. We're talking about the high-stakes health insurance negotiations happening right now in the Highlands School District. Our goal today? We're going to break down exactly what's on the table. We'll be looking strictly at the details provided in this recent update sent to union members, and we'll map out the core points of contention between the district and the local educators. So, to give you a sense of where things are at, the unions have described these negotiations as, quote, nothing short of exhausting. I mean, that language really sets the emotional stage perfectly, doesn't it? We're not just talking about minor administrative tweaks happening in the background. No, these are marathon sessions. Both sides are intensely scrutinizing every single dollar and every little detail. The sheer exhaustion they're talking about here just highlights exactly how much weight these conversations carry for everyone involved. And this urgent message is coming from a completely unified front. You've got the Highlands County Educational Support Professionals Association and the Highlands County Education Association standing literally shoulder to shoulder here. This letter was sent directly from their respective presidents, Michael Ridgway and Jean Federico, which represents this really powerful coalition of both teachers and support staff organizations, all acting with one single voice. All right, let's get into decoding the actual district proposals. To truly understand the core of this conflict, we need to look at the initial offers brought forward by the school district. According to the letter, when these talks first kicked off, the district presented a series of financial changes that the unions deemed, entirely unacceptable. So let's break down exactly what those initial proposals looked like and why they triggered such a strong, swift reaction. $8,500. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. That is the health insurance deductible initially proposed by the district. When the district suggested this towering increase to out-of-pocket deductibles, the unions explicitly stated in their letter that they push back hard and soundly rejected the proposal as just completely financially unviable for their members. Now, to try and offset that massive high deductible, the district did propose a health savings account, or an HSA, offering to provide up to $1,000 to members. But union leadership was super quick to point out to their membership that this offer came with some very significant administrative strings attached, or, as they specifically called them in the letter, catches. Let's clearly break down what those specific HSA restrictions actually are. First off, employees wouldn't just automatically get that $1,000. Nope, they would have to score enough points on a newly proposed wellness matrix just to qualify for the full amount. Second, those funds were heavily restricted. You couldn't use the money for dependents. You couldn't use it for dental costs, glasses, or even over-the-counter meds. It was strictly earmarked to offset the higher deductible or copays only after you actually met your deductible. And finally, no rollover. Effective January 1st, any unspent money in that HSA would go straight back to the district.
But what is the real financial impact here? It's one thing to talk about abstract policies on paper, right? But it's a whole different ballgame when you see how it actually hits a person's bank account. The letter lays out a few really stark scenarios to translate these policy shifts into the everyday reality of working in the district. For instance, consider diabetes medication. Historically, as the unions point out, this critical, life-sustaining medication has been provided to employees at absolutely zero cost. But under this newly proposed structure, that changes completely. This vital medicine would suddenly be subject to the exact same high deductible and copay structure as any other prescription.
And that specific policy shift, it leads us directly to a staggering figure: $400. The union calculates that subjecting diabetes medication to the new deductible structure means a sudden increase of around $400 per month for the affected employee until that deductible is finally met. And they note that for a lot of people, the deductible wouldn't even be met for the entire year under the lowest proposed plans. For a lower-paid support staff member, that's not just an extra expense. The unions equate it to an immediate $400 pay cut, one that hits the most vulnerable employees the absolute hardest. And it's not just medications. Beyond that, families are facing another major financial hurdle: the proposed elimination of the grandfather rate for family coverage. By removing this historical rate, the unions report it would cause a sudden, immediate increase of several $100s a month for the employees who currently rely on those exact family plans to cover their loved ones. Finally, the initial proposals included a very specific lifestyle surcharge, $50. According to the document, any member who uses tobacco in any form would be required to pay an extra $50 directly out of every single paycheck. So when you look at the totality of all these items building up, the $8,500 deductible, the steep new medication costs, the loss of grandfathered rates, and those lifestyle surcharges, you can absolutely see why the unions described this situation as asking members to shoulder an unreasonable burden.
So where do things actually stand right now? Well, despite the gridlock over these out-of-pocket costs, the letter does strike a note of progress. Both sides have actually come to an agreement in principle on many of the secondary issues. Plus, the union teams emphasize that they've brought creative solutions to the table to try and soften the blow of these rising healthcare expenses. But the core debate over how much more the members themselves will ultimately have to pay, that's still at a complete stalemate, which leads us to the union's urgent call to action. The letter concludes with a direct, urgent plea to the membership, outlining the details of a critical upcoming meeting. The Insurance Review Committee is scheduled to convene on June 29th at 1 p.m., right at the Highlands School District building in Sebring, Florida. And union leadership is making it unequivocally clear, while they're going to continue to fight at the bargaining table, they absolutely need members to show up. They're asking the workforce to literally pack the room so the board knows they are entirely unified in this fight.
Which leaves us with a pretty critical question. Will this June 29th meeting finally break the stalemate over healthcare costs? The stakes for the educators and the support staff of Highlands County literally couldn't be higher as they navigate the remainder of these exhausting negotiations. We're certainly going to be watching closely to see what the outcomes of that meeting yield. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and as always, keep learning.